Imagine a night that starts like any other, but ends with a mystery so chilling that it still haunts those involved today. What if I told you that 5 children, 5 innocent lives disappeared without a trace, never to be seen again? Their family left in agony and confusion, searching for answers that seemed to slip through their fingers like smoke in the wind. This is the story of the Sodder children, one of the most eerie disappearances in American history. It was Christmas Eve, 1945, in the small town of Fayetteville, West Virginia. George and Jenny Sodder were living the American dream. They had a beautiful home, a thriving business, and 5 young children. But as the clock struck 1 a.m., their world would be shattered in a way they could never have imagined. A fire broke out in the Sodder household, quickly consuming the entire structure. George and Jenny barely escaped with their lives, but when the flames died down, the unthinkable had happened. Their 5 children were missing. And what made it even more strange, the bodies of the children were nowhere to be found. No remains, no evidence of them having perished in the fire. In a fire so fierce, it would be expected that nothing would survive. Yet, there was something odd about this one. The fire wasn't as intense as it should have been. Neighbors would later claim that there were no visible flames or smoke for hours before the fire was reported. How could that be? Was this fire a natural disaster, or was something more sinister at play? But that's not all. The phone line to the house was cut just before the fire started. Was this sabotage? So, who would want to make sure the Sodders couldn't call for help? And why? These questions would remain unanswered, adding yet another layer of mystery to the case. The authorities did their best to piece together what happened. They concluded that the children had likely perished in the fire, their bodies simply too burned to be found. But George and Jenny Sodder refused to believe that. They had seen their children at bedtime. They knew they hadn't been caught in the blaze. Someone was responsible for their disappearance. For years, George and Jenny followed every lead they could. They hired private investigators, followed up on mysterious tips, and searched the surrounding areas. But the strangest piece of the puzzle came years later when George Sodder received an unexpected letter. Inside was a photograph of a young man who looked eerily similar to one of the missing children. The boy in the picture was standing with a group of people, looking remarkably healthy. Could this boy, who appeared to be alive and well, really be one of the lost Sodder children? And why was the photo sent to the family anonymously? Was this a clue or just a cruel hoax? Theories emerged. Some believed the children had been kidnapped before the fire ever started, hidden away by an unknown party. Others thought the fire might have been a distraction, a cover for something even more sinister. The evidence, though scarce, pointed to foul play. And for George and Jenny, the pain of not knowing what happened to their children was a haunting burden they carried with them for the rest of their lives. In the years that followed, the mystery only deepened. Despite countless theories and investigations, the fate of the 5 Sodder children remains unknown. The fire, the missing children, and the mysterious photograph continued to puzzle experts, conspiracy theorists, and families alike. So, what happened that night? Did the children perish in the fire, as the authorities claimed? Or did they somehow survive and vanish into the world? Could the fire have been an elaborate scheme to cover up something far darker? The answers to these questions may never come, but one thing is certain: the disappearance of the Sodder children remains one of the most chilling unsolved mysteries in American history. The mystery of the Sodder children remains unsolved to this day. Will we ever uncover the truth?